gather around. Welcome back to our seats here. Bring the band back up here. One more time, please, if you get time, get an ad in this booklet. It's a lifesaver for the Friends of Celtic Culture. Without this booklet and the bar and proceeds from the concert, we're out of business. I'm serious. So get an ad in this book. 35 for a third of a page, 50 for half page, and 100 for a full page. So please help us out. Now, my granddaughter said, "Grandpa, who's playing at the theater tonight?" I said, "Well, it's a band from Ireland." And I said, "The name of the band is called Socks in the Frying Pan." She started laughing. She goes, "Well, that's a funny name." Well, I said, "Yeah, it is." She says, "Well, how did they come up with that?" I says, "Well, one of the Hayes boys got wet and was walking through a stream. He got his socks wet, and his mom said, 'Put in the frying pan right now.'" I mean, do you believe that? Oh, come on. Listen, what I'd like to do though, we got royalty in the audience tonight. And we're not going to bring the ladies up on stage, but I'd like to have one of the girls come up and announce the queen and the court and the princesses, and we'll just have them stand up. If we can get a light over here, and you want to do down here, or you want to stage? All right.
Hi, I'm Megan Turek, the president of the St. Patrick's Day Parade Association. Our marshal is going to join us here too, Rochelle O'Vie, the 2026 Parade Marshal.
Hello, I'm Emily Conley and I'm a princess.
A princess.
Hi everyone, my name is Brooke Dufresne and I'm the second runner-up on the Queen's Court.
Can't wait to see everyone at the parade on Sunday. It's also my birthday, so here's wishing for good weather.
Well, happy birthday. Okay, lastly, I'm going to bring up these guys again, and they're going to play. Remember, they had to finish the song that when they took a break, they didn't finish yet? I'm just reminding them. Remember, you got to finish that song? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Socks in the Frying Pan.
I think anytime you can walk on stage and say, "Hi, my name is, and I'm a princess," that's badass right there. Treasure those moments, that's what you do.
I say that every time I walk on stage.
That's why we turn his mic off.
It never works.
You kept getting the band bars from all those venues.
Well, he said, the guy in the
So,
center
people
said
are always
he's
asking,
from
you
the
guys
west
feeling
coast
okay
of
now? Nobody's
Ireland.
tired.
We're from
You don't want to go to bed, right?
One's
No.
from Baltimore, the
Sure.
other Boston.
Yeah.
Have you all got the story of Cinderella over here?
So I don't know if they're
What
originally
time is
from
Cinderella?
Ireland.
What time does the pumpkin change? What time does the cart change back into a pumpkin? Not over here. 10 p.m. in America. People are always asking, where do we prefer playing in Ireland or do we prefer playing in America? And I always say that we prefer playing in America. I say the same thing in Ireland, or I really do, and I'll tell you why. 3 reasons. Number 1, if we were playing in a 50,000 seater arena tonight and 200 people showed up, in America there would be 50 people, there would be 200 people here, right in the front, and there'd be great atmosphere, and at least there'd be some bit of atmosphere. In Ireland, if it was a 50,000 seater arena and there was 200 people, there'd be one. And I mean, people that travel to the concert together would sit 100 seats apart. Parents with small children, the children would sit over there, everyone spreads out, and you get this big rectangle of death in the front where there's just no atmosphere. The other thing is, in America, if you say the show is at 7:30, people are there at 7:30. And doors are at 7, people are there at 7. The show starts, pretty much everybody's in there. If this show started at 7:30 in Ireland, right now, into the second half, even at 9:45 p.m., everyone is at home, sitting down and watching the rest of whatever they're watching on Netflix, beginning to think about considering maybe possibly getting ready for the show. But, and here's the but, right, here's the asterisk. You guys do this really weird thing that they don't do in Ireland. At 10 o'clock, some kind of a switch goes off on an American's head. We gotta go to bed. And I have never understood it. I've been all over America and I cannot understand it. And I've asked people, and I think people act as like, no, we're having a great time, but we gotta go to bed. And I don't know what it is, I've asked people like, have you got work tomorrow? Oh no, we're tired, but we gotta go to bed. It makes no sense. It's like some sort of really weird Cinderella meets vampire thing that you're afraid of what's going to happen. I've seen people at 9:15, 9:30, 9:45 going, and 9:50. So I'm very conscious because I know the clocks went forward or backwards, or they did something there a couple of days ago, and I'm just conscious that we've got to make sure we get people home before there's accidents on the road or people falling asleep at 10:01. I'd hate to have to drag people past the merch table and actually buy a sweatshirt for you myself. I prefer I can do it yourself. So everyone is okay anyway? Okay. Not too tired? You want to go to bed? I think it's a thing about getting old. If someone told me at 10 o'clock, do you want to go to bed? I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. Okay, this is a Scots Gaelic one. This one means, it's called Morning Braes.
She's
And there's a Scots Gaelic song called Moorland Braes, which I'm told means beautiful hills in English. Anybody speak Scots Gaelic?
Of course.
It means beautiful hills then. Okay. I love that. If you're the only one that can speak the language, if you know for a fact there's no one in the room that can speak the language, you can just claim to speak it. There's no one that can disprove that you can speak the language. It's great. Although I have heard of a few people getting into trouble with that. I heard a great story many years ago about that, about a fella that wanted to get his girlfriend's name tattooed in Mandarin. You know those Chinese symbols that people get down along their hair? And his girlfriend's name was Siobhan, an Irishman, and he wanted to get the name Siobhan done across his arm like this in Chinese symbols in Mandarin. So he typed it into Google, and he got up the Chinese for it. And he typed it into Yahoo. Am I saying that right? Dave makes fun of me for the way I say Yahoo. Yahoo! Yahoo! What's what? Yahoo?
Google!
It's Yahoo! Okay, anyway, fine. So, he typed it into AOL, and he found the same answer again. So he went down to just to be extra safe, he went down to the tattoo parlor and he said, "Can I get that tattoo down on here, please?" A couple of months later, he's sitting inside a Chinese restaurant with Siobhan sitting across from him, and the waiter walks by and he says, "Do you mind me asking, why did you get that tattoo?" He says, "Oh, I'm not surprised you wouldn't understand that. It's an Irish name actually. It's Mandarin, it's in Chinese symbols, but it's an Irish name. It means Siobhan." And the waiter says, "I'm sorry, buddy, that means search not found." So yeah. And so now, since I've heard that story, every single time I see somebody with one of those tattoos, and I'm like, if I ask him what does it mean, is he going to say like honor or something? It might just mean jackass, you know, something like that. We'll see. We'll try something from the new album. When we were here last, we had one album and nothing else. And now we've got the 5 albums. Thanks very much. Those albums are what caused these grey hairs, by the way. Just you know, all proceeds have gone towards therapy sessions to pay for the trauma that was involved in recording those things. But you know, this one's called Jam Making. give us a shout if you've been to Ireland before? Okay. Probably not a surprise. Give us a shout if you'd like to go to Ireland. I don't know if you'd like to go to Ireland and have me show you around. That one felt less enthusiastic than the first two. I wanted to tell you about a couple of tours that we've been doing. So, for several years ago, we got approached by a company and they said, would we be interested in bringing our fans to Ireland? We'd be interested in doing a kind of a fan bus tour and showing them around Ireland. We said, hey, no. And I'll tell you why. What they were suggesting was just too much of a money grab. And don't get me wrong, I'm perfectly happy to take your money for sweatshirts. But from taking people's money for this didn't feel good. We are world champion superstar experts at going to places and not seeing them. It's just kind of the nature of our job. We end up traveling. Case in point, tonight, we drove last night from Newport, Kentucky to here. Our next show is in Nashville, right? So we're driving 3 hours directly after this show. Right, so that's just the way it is. Sometimes you get to hang, sometimes you don't. Usually you don't. On a tour like this, you often don't. We were in San Antonio. What's San Antonio famous for? I don't know. Who remembers? Very good. Okay.
That's where you drink.
Yeah. So we actually were staying on the Riverwalk, and we didn't get to see the album. That's how close we were. We were literally a 10-minute walk away, and we just didn't get a chance. St. Louis, Missouri, we drove 5 hours to get there, and we just got there in time for sound check, quick bite to eat, the show. After the show, we drove 3 hours, so we got to see nothing. Same in North Carolina, drove 4 hours. Saratoga Springs, upstate New York, beautiful town, so I'm told. Didn't get to see it. We drove 4 hours to get there, played the show, and drove 3 hours back after. So it really, as nice as it sounded, it didn't feel right for us to take people's money for them to have the same experience. Do you know what I mean? To come to Ireland and spend a week on a bus whereby, and like some of these routings are insane. Like I know that for you guys 6 hours is nothing. For us, 6 hours in any direction and you're in the water. You know? So it just, people were doing this, and I know because as a local what that means is you're going to spend a few hours here, take a photo, quickly back in the bus because we got to get a few hours here, take a photo quickly. That just didn't feel good. So we turned down a lot of offers for years, and then finally 2 local guys came to us and said, hey, would you be interested in doing it if we did it? We said, hey, no. So until we sat down and had a coffee with them, and they actually turned out to be great fellas, and they said, well, what do you do when you bring your friends from America or from abroad to Ireland? And we are stupidly lucky living in Ennis, County Clare, because we're in the epicenter of where everything is happening. The west of Ireland is best. I always tell people that if you want Ireland, to try and get to the west. We are about 14 miles from the Cliffs of Moher, this way. We're about 10 miles from the Burnham, this way. Galway is 40 minutes, this way. Westport is another hour-ish beyond that. Dingle, Killarney, Cork, Kerry, all about an hour and a half at most down this way. So we're very close. So any of these tours, you're not on a bus all week long. And you're being brought by a local as opposed to shown by someone, if that makes sense. So we've done 10 of these tours so far and had great fun. Nobody has died yet. Statistically, or never mind, okay. And there's tours happening in April and October that I wanted to mention, but also they are back-to-back with week-long tours of Italy. You weren't expecting me to say that, were you? I've been living in Florence, Italy for the last 4 years. I met a woman, that's usually all the context that people need. They're like, oh, why did you move to Italy? A woman, okay. First day we met, I said, listen, let's get one thing straight. I'm not moving. And she said, well, I'm not moving. So we compromised and I live there now. So 4 years over there, so I started doing tours in Italy as well. So they're back to back so that people can tick off the two in one. So basically the format is in the Irish one, in April, it's a week. The first one is a week in Northern Ireland and Donegal. So we'll be in Belfast for a couple of nights, then Portrush. So it'll be kind of like a city for 2 nights, seaside town for 2 nights, and then 3 nights in Guido and Donegal, which is postcard Ireland. Really untouched, just an amazing place. We'll be going to some whiskey distilleries, off the beaten track, little micro distilleries that you won't have seen yet. You'll see them in 15 years once they get big enough. And you'll be meeting a lot of like the families behind distilleries, not just like big massive corporation things. There's an Irish music session every single day, and there's like a wow factor every day. So there's like the Giant's Causeway, we're going to the Slieve League Cliffs, Dunluchin Castle, this type of thing. Something like that every single day. So that's for a full week. And then that immediately leads into a week in the Amalfi Coast and Rome. So Sorrento, Capri, Pompeii, Amalfi, Naples, and then up to Rome for a few days. And then in October, there's a week in the west coast of Ireland, so the same format, and that leads into a week in Tuscany. So Florence and Cinque Terre and San Gimignano, Pisa and Lucca and Siena and all those places. Bring stretchy pants. That's what it's a week of drinking whiskey and Guinness, followed by a week of eating pasta and drinking wine, tends to be a bit heavy on the waistline. But anyway, our security guards have locked the doors. You don't have to get something from the merch table, but you do have to pick up a flyer. That's the thing. And it has our tour dates, it has our email sign up, and it has when we'll be back again. So if you want to know when we'll be back in town, you have to grab a flyer. You had to have a ticket to come in, now you gotta get a flyer to get out. And these security guards, big sexy over there, means business, I'll tell you that. Chris is not letting anyone out the door that doesn't take a flyer. So who wants to go to Ireland now? You'll be stuck with this voice for a week though. That's our 2 weeks even, that could be difficult.
What if we go to a bar first and have I know, and I love it. You know how the picture and laugh, and I know, now we're still pictures around again. When you come back, 5 times more, I will be back.
test. Are you awake? Yeah? Is everyone around you awake? Just double check. Give someone a prod in case somebody's awake early. Prove to me you're awake. Okay, on the count of 4. Do you think we've got one? Do you think we've got one beach here left? We'll all shout out together on the count of 4. Wow, the enthusiasm, folks, is truly amazing. I'm going to fall out of my seat here, so excited. Okay, on the count of 4. Let's try not to leave this 12 years again before we do this again. Okay, here we go. Ready? Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Got to that time of the night where I'm going to tell you that we're